Hello, hope I'm doing well, and we have Tempesta and Isla de Libertad. Why they make it E, so it's and in Spanish. Keep the theme of the rest of the name, but oh well. We have our login screen here with our spooky ship girls, some goobers in the back. And I didn't realize the adventure had tentacle arms. That was new to me. Now, I apologize for this being kind of late. I went on a couple trips and then I got busy and I messed with the recording several times. So this is a temp. I don't even know. But anyway, I'll show off my polls. We will look at the characters' kits. I'll do kind of a general summary of the event because it's almost over. All in all, I think this event's goal was to fill out the Tempesta fleet so you have a full team of golds that could function in a normal stage, as in maybe Opsci or pre-chapter 13, because the one downside of Tempesta ships, before there was not a lot of them, they have a lot of synergy. Now this event kind of fixes that, is they have no anti-aircraft guns because they are sailing ships. And I'm pretty sure I made the joke before, but they weren't shooting down hot air balloons. Maybe with a grape shot they could do it. They were close. But also we have the last year's Tempesta event rerunning at the same time, so you can get both banners. Also, one thing to note, last year's Tempesta ships are on the banner for the new ships. It's just they're not on rate up. They can appear, as you will see in my polls. I got a couple of them. But they're there. Just so you know. I also just noticed that Lime, my girl, was getting whizzed on by the hole. How unfortunate. Anyway, let's look at my polls. Alright, before I get any more visual glitches where Honolulu just stands in the middle of the screen, the opposite of the glitch I have on my phone, where on the home screen she just disappears, never to be seen again, after I defeat the Guild Siren boss. That's weird. But time for some polls. So we got Pearl, who is not on rate up, but she's on the banner. So she is the map dropship, and she's available in the event shop. We got Lime, we got Queen Anne's Revenge, and we got Royal James. Now, I think between Lime and Queen Anne's Revenge, it's kind of hard to pick my favorite, because I really like Lime when she got announced. That was pretty cool. And Queen Anne's Revenge, I mean, she looks a lot like Royal Fortune, but I like the consistency in the designs. Just like Royal Fortune after college, like freshman year, it's all happy and like, yeah, and then afterwards, depressed. So, let's do the polls. Yes, I know I can't generate any more pity. Alright. So, before I hit finish all, let me go see if I can pull up the timers. So unfortunately, not live for this one. Much stuff going on. Oh my goodness, the wiki's here. They have a bunch of question marks. The timers. No. No. Oh, that sucks. Okay. Well, we'll see. Again, we're doing the lucky 7. Because doing 10 does not give you any extra, and no, go for 7 for lucky. Alright, Norfolk, Langley, Hermes, Portland, your city not long ago, Shropshire, Long Island, was near your city not long ago. Nothing good. If the next 7 is any better. I'm wondering is why they started giving the Tempesta ships augment gear so early. Well, the second 7 was much better. A very monotone voice, very just kind of done, but looks to be a bit bossy. Oh, hello. I forgot you're on this banner too. Ganji jump scare. The last two. Okay. Yeah, they gave all of them augment gears immediately. Just add that to their default kit and make them better later on. Everyone wants to party, I guess. Everyone from that last event. Where's Golden Hind? Watch, she's gonna show up before Lime does. This is the second banner. All these characters are in here, but at normal rates. Just like anyone else. Marine. Yes, technically a submarine. Oh. Got enough going on that it distracts me the fact that, once again, no pants or a skirt. I don't mind that one as well. Alright, so all I need now is Royal James, the elite. If Pearl would show up, you know, maybe next, that'd be really cool. Oh, no, just kidding. Hey, you? Oh, hello, unicorn. Like, Royal James is probably going to be one of the less impressive of the batch. I mean, she's an elite, so comes with it, but she kind of looks just silly goofy. Like, she got this all this exposure going on, but like her hat and her expression just looks like a goober. That. Alright, come on. I am running out of coins. Hey, Golden Hind did not show up though. I have to make some room in the dock though. Things are going. Sorry, little ones. Done. Claim some coins. Few more pulls out of it. Royal James, Royal James. Oh, where art thou? Oh, this is hurting. Please. Please. Alright, it's gonna be this next one. Watch. You know, actually, what I won't watch. Turn it all the way around. Oh. I couldn't recognize her. At least Lime likes me. Alright, well this is not going as well as I would have liked. I'll be honest with y'all. Not you! I feel like I got... The only elite I feel like I've gotten other than Unicorn is like... London. 2 Londons and 2 unicorns. I don't have enough to the stockpile. Okay, got quite a bit in here. Take the max out, I guess. Oh, have nothing in the stockpile now. All right. Come on, Royal James. That's not Royal James. Neither are you. Especially not you. Just had to dive into the horde. Oh, she is a goober. It just feels like too much of a goober for this to be sexy. Alright, that was way too much. What was that? Almost 100 cubes? 40 shy of 200. 160 cubes. That was way too much damage. Okay. The while till the Christmas banner. That's fine. I mean, that was painful. I won't lie. Hopefully your pulls went a bit better than that. Good pulls and cared about getting Royal James. And Pearl didn't even show up for all that. You know who did? Lime. Lime was the real one this time around. Got 3 of her, 2 Queen Anne's and Revenge, 1 Royal James, and a partridge in a pear tree. So first up, we have Queen Anne's Revenge. Runs you a bit of Royal Fortune, so I'm glad they're keeping some consistency. Very elegant. I like the red and black accents. And then very tired. She does not want to really be here. Very just wore out. I feel like you do a side-by-side meme of first year of college versus senior year. And Royal Fortune is first year, and Queen Anne's Revenge is your senior year of college. But I like her design. Pretty cool looking. I am a big fan of pirates in general. Just big fan of the kind of what I say like that, pop culture aesthetic of pirates. Obviously, they're not Jack Sparrow, but grew up watching the pirate movies. That was pretty cool. And I also got to go on a sailing ship and shoot at quote-unquote pirates, even though they were kids on a sandbank shooting airsoft guns at us. That was cool. So Queen Anne's Revenge, she is going to be our flagship buffer, similar to other faction leaders. I'm not entirely sure if she herself will be the faction leader, but she has a similar role to someone like Queen Elizabeth, providing buffs to Tempesta. So, if she is flagship, she'll provide buffs to the rest of your fleet. If not, she has a self buff. So if she is flagship, buffs Tempesta's firepower, accuracy, invasion by 10%. Nice little buff. And if she's not, here's her firepower and invasion by 15%. So she gets a good buff out of not being flagship. So she can function pretty well in a non-Tempesta fleet. Just don't run her as your flagship for that fleet, and you're good to go. And that's evasion's pretty nice. 15%, that's not bad. It's already got 62, which isn't terrible for a backliner. Also, when she fires her main gun, she has a 7% chance to fire a special barrage. And if there's another Tempesta ship in your fleet, increases the barrage activation chance by 30%. And even without the 30% increased rate, 70 is like my baseline of good. Obviously, guaranteed is preferred. But 70, that's where you want to be at minimum nowadays. There were some older ships that had 40% activation rates, and then they got augment gears, and that buffed them up. So next, Sir the skill, share the spoils. When she finishes loading her main guns, if there are no enemies with the plunder target effect on the battlefield, inflicts that debuff to a random enemy, prioritizes humanoid enemies, and enemies with the plunder target debuff have 10% decreased evasion, sorry, and take 10% more damage from Queen Anne's Revenge. I would have liked it more if it were take more damage from Tempesta ships, but the decrease in evasion kind of helps with that. And when an enemy with plunder target is sunk, all of your Tempesta ships recover 3% of their max HP. So, she's also a healer. It's nice. We don't have a whole lot of options, so you can't really spam her main guns, because the guns we have aren't too fast for Tempesta ships. But she has an augment module, and that gives her an upgrade to this skill. So, upgrade version, it decreases the speed of an enemy with the plunder target by 20% for 5 seconds, and in addition to the heal, it lets your whole Tempestas take less damage overall. 1 second, I'm pulling up what the actual, because augments give an extra skill. So our augment module also gives her a damage reduction from aircraft, so that kind of helps out with her lack of anti-aircraft defensives. It also increases her damage dealt by 5%. So, very good augment gear. One downside is they're all very expensive to make. So I think if you want to run a Tempesta fleet, you'll want Queen's End Revenge in it. You're going to do a main fleet. Just your whole surface fleet is going to be Tempesta. Obviously submarine fleet be a little different, but pretty nice for what she can do. Next up is Lime. Probably my favorite design. She looks super cool, and when she has like her victory quote at the end of battle, she gets MVP, her eyes start glowing, so she's very cool. I felt like she was gonna be a boss, but unfortunately she was not. I thought it would be like the air raid with Essex kind of deal, where you fight one specific enemy over and over and again, and she'd be like the highest level. It's just because how she was announced in a stream months ago, get that vibe. But she's very cool looking. But I dig it. I like the colors. And she seems like the destroyer version of a Tempesta ship to fill that role. She is in your Vanguard fleet. Go. And she has decently high evasion, 71, lower firepower. And so she first skill, Judgment of Spear and Sword, increases her firepower and accuracy by 15%, and increases her damage dealt by 20% to enemies with less than 25% HP. Similar to Felix Schultz. That's why it kind of reminded me of a destroyer. Felix Schultz is a destroyer, and more skill. Every 5 seconds, she fires a special shell, and every 20 seconds, she fires a special barrage. The damage of the shell and barrage is based on the skill's level. I don't know if they have any special effects other than just extra damage. If the shell had like a debuff attached to it, which it might, and it's just not listed, that'd be cool. Or maybe you inflict a special burn with just the shell. I'm not sure. Haven't gotten around to using her. Just leveling her up slowly and getting her skills up. But her other skill, Final Sacrament, battle starts, increases evasion by 25%, and deploys a barrier that lasts 30 seconds that can negate up to 15% of her own max HP. When the battle starts, if there's no Tempesta ship in your fleet, once per battle, when Lime would take damage that would sink her, does not sink, recovers 10% of max HP, and evades all damage for 3 seconds. When this effect activates, increases the ship's damage dealt by 10% and decreases their damage taken by 15% until the battle ends. Similar to like our zombie destroyers and Phoenix and Neptune, but mostly the zombie destroyers is what I was thinking of. Cassin and Downs. You have a self-resurrection. Well, similar to other destroyers we've had. And I like the extra damage dealt when she's low and well, she's basically resurrected. Then taking less damage, keep her alive for that. So, yeah, I mean, even if a stage where she's gonna get hit hard, she can not stay alive, but come back from the dead a little bit and hit back for a little bit longer. Maybe finish the job if it's like the very end of a stage. So, when she has her augment gear equipped, requires her to be at maximum break. First, equip it. He also does extra damage to medium armor enemies by 10%. And her self-heal when she resurrects goes from 10% to 20%, which is a much nicer number. And her augment gear also makes her take 25% less damage from aircraft, so continuing the theme. And when the battle starts, decreases her damage taken by 10% for 40 seconds. So, let's say at one battle she gets real low, and she self-resurrects her augment gear, so she has that 20% heal. Finish the battle. You're at like 19-18%. Next battle starts, she takes less damage, and so hopefully you have some healers on board, and they can heal her up. So if they have preloads, like say Unicorn or Perseus, then they can get a bit more of a heal, keep her alive a little longer, and delay when she has to self-resurrect. But yeah, she seems really solid. Our gold ships this time seem very, very good. Like Lime, I'm excited to build a Tempesta fleet. I'll probably try and make a good mobbing fleet for Opsai. See if I can just like let them run wild in a Siren Stronghold. To record that if the game will run well enough to do it, but we'll see. Yeah, Lime, I really like her. Not just because of her design, but it's pretty decent overall. And next up is Pearl, who I almost feel like is an evil angel. Because she's got all the, the wings, the light colors, the pink, hints of pink stuff. I don't know. It feels like almost a corrupted white light. Oh, it's some kind of evil going on there. I'm feeling from that. Pretty cool design overall. Very Halloween themed. But she is also in your main fleet, so you can now have a full main fleet of gold ships. So Pearl, Fans of Revenge from this event, and then San Martino from last year's event, if you got her. And she is also the event shop ship, drop ship from stage T6 and B stage. And she seems like another solid overall map drop and event shop ship. I'm glad we've had some pretty decent ones the last few events. Nice pickups for people who don't have the gem, sorry, not the gems, the cubes, to actually do a whole lot of pulls, and maybe don't get everyone. Nice option. So her first skill, Pearl of the Sky, Sapphire of the Sea, very nice skill name by the way, increases the ship's firepower and reload by 15%. When she fires her main guns, fires a level 10 special barrage that inflicts Pearl Moon debuff to enemies hit, and enemies with these Pearl Moon debuff have their accuracy decreased by 15% until the battle ends, and this effect does not stack. But that's pretty nice, because accuracy debuff on enemies, and it doesn't go away until battle ends or they sink. So that's just survivability for the whole fleet being thrown in there, which is pretty nice. So when she has her augment gear equipped, that skill gets upgraded. So it takes the buff of 15% to her firepower and reload and increases it to 20%. And 30 seconds after battle starts, increases her damage dealt by 15% until the battle ends. So it takes a little bit for full power, but 50% pretty nice. When she fires her main guns, fires barrage, and same debuff is applied to enemies. Pretty nice. And then her augment gear also gives her a skill, which is 500 equipped, 20% less damage taken from aircraft, and 40 seconds after battle starts, restores 8% of the wearer's max HP. Got her own self-heal. You like to see it. And her last skill, she alternates what she does when she fires her main gun. So on odd number times, decreases your Vanguard's damage taken by 10% for 8 seconds. And every even number time, she restores 3% of max HP to herself and inflicts 500 fixed damage to enemies with the Pearl Moon debuff. So keeping your Vanguard alive and healing herself up in addition to her augment gear, which also heals her. So seems pretty solid overall. And be very nice addition to your Tempesta fleet. Next up is Royal James, who I feel like looks like a goober. He looks very silly. Like, she's got a whole lot of exposure going on, but she just kind of feels silly. And especially like with the login screen we saw at the beginning. So you're silly looking. But she is the elite ship that shows up in the gacha pool, and it took a while for me to get, which is unfortunate, but that happens from time to time. So as for her skills, she has the best laid plans go boom, increases her ship's firepower and accuracy by 10%, and then 30 seconds after the battle starts, fires a special barrage. Now this can be upgraded, augment gear being equipped, increases her firepower and accuracy by 10%, and 30 seconds after the battle starts, fires a special barrage, and increases her damage dealt by 20% until the battle ends. So it's nice that the barrage gets an extra buff to it, but it's still timed. Similar to Pearl, it delays when she has her maximum output. Kind of sucks. I think that is a theme for this event, though. Also, her augment gear makes her take 25% less damage from aircraft, and when the battle starts, decreases her damage taken by 10% for 40 seconds. And she is also in the Vanguard fleet. And her last skill, Blessings from the Sea, decreases her damage taken by 20%, and when she hits an enemy with her main gun in her first gear slot, 10% chance to decrease the enemy's accuracy by 10% for 5 seconds. And then once per battle, when her HP falls below 50%, results damage taken, restores 12% of her max HP. So she seems like she'll be a decent tank. Got lost survivability. It's just I'm a little worried about her damage output. I'm just a big fan of barrage. Just having a one-time barrage, not a huge fan of that. The extra damage buff at the barrage is cool, but yeah, and she just seems goofy to me. And last up, we have old Tentacle Arms McGee. I thought the tentacles were coming from her back. I didn't realize they were coming out of her sleeve because those are her arms. But other than the tears in her clothing, I really like her uniform. Like, her outfit's very cool. And the red and black, very regal looking other than the tear marks. So maybe we can find her seamstress and kind of patch that up and we'll be good to go. But adventure here is the point accumulation ship, and she is in the submarine fleet. And unfortunately, I don't think she'll be able to do the gimmick where she can solo the weekly submarine raid, unfortunately. Doesn't sound like she'll have the output to do it. But she has first skill, Horror from the Deeps. When she enters battle, every second for 10 seconds, restores 2% of max HP. And 5 seconds after her HP falls below 30%, result damage taken, or 60 seconds after the ship enters battle, leaves the battlefield. So that's typical Tempesta submarine fleet. Alright, if we get too low or timeout, we gotta go. Can't stick around here. And which is our augment module equipped. She also gets an evasion buff in addition to the heal, so it's 1% every 10 seconds, stack up 10 times. And as she goes to leave the battle, she will fire a special barrage. In addition, her augment gear makes her take less damage from aircraft. Also, when she enters the battle, pulls a shield that lasts 10 seconds that can negate up to 6 enemy shells. So that gives her time to heal up, and the Tempesta ships sit on the surface, so they will take more damage while they're in battle than a normal submarine. So it kind of balances that out. And then her last skill, Dreams in the Pirate's House. When she enters battle, every second for 15 seconds increases her firepower reload by 1%, and can be stacked up to 15 times. And every 15 seconds, becomes immobile for 1 second, fires a special barrage. If the barrage sinks an enemy, it performs an additional barrage. A 15-second cooldown between activations, and enemies that are hit by the second barrage have their speed decreased by 30% for 3 seconds. Now with Adventure here, I feel like she suffers the problem a lot of the elite coin accumulation ships suffer from. Is they'll get an interesting kit. Their skills will be pretty cool. But the percentages are just too low to be really like, alright, we can play with this. If you want to use her, obviously you can. It's just that she seems just almost there. Almost. And it just takes her so long to get up to maximum damage output. In 15 seconds doesn't seem like a long time. But if you want to get your submarines and your submarine Tempesta ships out, you want them doing damage, as long as possible. Because with the way her skills work, she only has 45 seconds at max damage if she doesn't get hit below 30% HP before then. Little handicap there. She's pretty cool looking, I won't deny that. Alright, so just going over some general event stuff. Event shop, Pearl is here, Amity is here from the last event. Also have treasure chests full of gold and genius. It just has a little heal. Very small heal. That was mostly for the HP buff. Go with the theme. Have Grape Shop here. Debuffs enemies that are close to user. One thing that we want to pick up if you're going to be using Tempesta ships is the old Demi Cannon. This is your basically BB gun for your backliners. So your Pearl, Queen's End Revenge, and San Martino. I'm going to be picking up both copies of this just because I'm a little short. I think we have 4 now that use them. That was a little short. Volume chips, Covenant Rays, always a good pickup. The blueprints, I already grabbed the BR ones, but they will also be here. And if you need upgrade materials or coins or oil, it's all there. There's also some me officers here. And the Tempesta officers are pretty cool because their stats and stuff are all fixed. There's no RNG involved with leveling them up and using them. You don't have to spend coins to reset them, so that's pretty cool about it. So we have the event stuff going on with the caps, the skin, sorting and build. Milestone rewards, you can get full adventure here, in addition to the normal kind of stuff like coins and upgrade materials for doing retrofits, that kind of stuff. There's also some E-officers available, so you can grab some of those. We have the side event, Sales and Spooks 2. Basically what this is you do certain tasks and you unlock little stories that are associated with the skin. So you get a little preview of the skin and a little story to go along with it, which is pretty nice. And lastly, we have Onward, Manju Pirates 2. So this is a minigame for this event. This is a spoof, and I think it was a very, very well-timed spoof minigame. I thought it was very funny and clever when it came out, because this time last year, if you don't remember, there was ads, and once I start playing it, I'll start while I'm talking, you'll see why. There were ads, a lot of ads for a game that had similar mechanics to this, that people making fun of, like, oh, the game's not like the ad. They had like a whole ad campaign going on about like, oh no, but this game's actually like the ads. And Anthony Starr featured in it. You get like various buffs and debuffs, and you just go through and get more points. And as you like hit enemies, you will lose points based off of like where they're at. So it's a basic little game, nothing hard. But you will run into a boss and just get yeeted if you are not careful or lucky. There you go. It's a fun little mini game, nothing too complex. Also, if you don't want to do it, what you can do is you enter in, wait for the load, and just hit exit. And it still counts as you actually doing it. So if you want to speed through and don't want to bother with it, you can do that. Alright, so that was Tempesta and Islas de Libertád, our new Halloween event. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.